We force kids to comply to our rules without a whole lot of conversation about why. Without a whole lot of conversation about why it's important to do chores and why it's important to follow household rules and why discipline is important. We're just told if you don't do that, you are going to be punished. Like I can remember my grandmother, man. My grandmother's one of the most important people in my life. I think my grandmother, I highest regard, absolute highest regard. My grandmother in Chicago, was born in Chicago. When I was around 4, we moved to Boston. But every summer I go stay with my grandma until sports took over my life. And there was a room in my grandmother's house that children were not allowed into.
Okay.
Like literally you can't step over the threshold of this room. All of the furniture in that room was covered in plastic. There was a cabinet in that room that I now realize there's alcohol in there. I didn't know what it was at the time. But my grandmother would just, you can't go in there. And we knew if you cross that line, she's going to kill you. But she never talked to me about why that was important. She never talked to me about why it's important to follow rules. And I think the greatest thing you can do with your children is to converse, like talk to them, teach them why these things are important. You can still punish them. You can still parent them. Like I'm not saying accept child behavior, but I am saying, like, your job is to educate your children, not to just force compliance. And I think that's what we did.
Yeah, I like the fact that you talked about educating children, because I was going to ask you the question as to why, even explaining why is important with kids.
Yeah.
Is there any, like, and if you don't have it, it's fine, but like, is there, since you're so well studied, is there any like credible research or like sources or anything that you can cite that show why that's important versus like a child that's like has to force compliance, whether it be through attachment styles or just behavior patterns as they get older or anything like that?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I'm actually not sure of any specific research that is done on child rearing cross cultures.
Okay.
There's a lot of studies that are done on child rearing, and we know kids who do chores in their younger years perform better as adults on the job. We know that the number one thing you can do as a family, literally, if you want to ensure your child is a productive member of society, the number one thing you can do as a family is have family meals routinely.
Really?
Number one thing. There's a ton of research about that. Like, if you want to produce a child that is functioning as an adult properly, the greatest thing you can do to contribute to that is have family meals routinely.
Why is that?
Connection.
Okay.
Connection.
Yeah.
Like you form a relationship, and while you're having the family meals, you converse, and how was your day? And you have all of these conversations, which I think is harder today now, because it's so easy for everybody to go eat in different corners of the house, and everybody is on their own device watching their own show. I'm old enough that, like, me and my mother and my 2 brothers, my parents divorced when I was young. I shouldn't say that. They separated when I was young. The divorce took a whole lot longer. So my dad always lived someplace else. He was always around, but he lived someplace else. And I'm old enough to remember that, like, my brothers and I, we had to negotiate what we were going to watch on television because there was only one television. We lived in a small place, so we ate our meals in the same place because there was one place for us to eat. And in society now, everybody's got their own device, so they can go eat. But if you want to have the greatest odds that your child grow up and be an effective adult, have family meals routinely.
I like that a lot, because I had that a lot growing up with my family, and I know what that dinner table is like.
Right.
You end up talking about a variety of different things, things that happen throughout the day, things that if your parents allow it, right? Like, it depends. The parents actually have to be open and receptive to having the conversation, but my parents were receptive to actually have a conversation. And like, one of the things my dad and I always did growing up was we used to play ping pong a lot. And ping pong, and I know it's interesting because ping pong, I learned so much about life through playing ping pong with my dad. Like, honestly, like, so we would play ping pong together, and my dad is the type of person that he would never let me win. Now, he's not the type of dad that's like, okay, I want you to get a quick win to get a confidence boost. No. If he's playing me full capacity. If I'm winning, he's trying everything in the book to make sure that he can win. Whether it's yelling, whatever, nothing cheating.
Right.
But like he's actually
trying to win.
Yes, he's trying to win. And what it taught me through that was that in life, everybody's trying to win, and there's going to be adversity that you have to go through, that you have to navigate. And I'm connecting that back to the conversations at dinner table, because sometimes I'd be upset, and like during dinner, we would have conversations about like whether it was ping pong, whatever it is, I'll be upset about. We used to play Scrabble a lot. So there was a lot of different things that we did, a lot of competitive games that we played that taught me a lot about life. And so I wanted to go back to like what you talked about with your father and your relationship with your dad, but also his relationship with your mom. Like, did that physical abuse ever trigger something in you? Because I've had conversations with people where they've said like, sometimes when a father or somebody else in the child's relationship is physical with like another parent, it can lead to the child thinking that behavior is okay. So do you feel like you ever had that notion growing up in relationships, like this is normal, or like was it the complete opposite?
I thought it was normal because it was happening in my home, but I never thought it was okay.
Okay.
So I'll tell you some more about research.
Yeah.
If you grew up in a home where you witnessed domestic violence as a male, you're 52 times more likely than a person who did not grow up in a home where there was domestic violence to become a perpetrator of domestic violence.
And that's kind of what I was,
52 times more likely.
That's crazy.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I don't know why I did not become in that category, but I'm very proud. Like I've written books, I've traveled the world, I've gotten degrees, and people sometimes will ask me, like, what am I most proud of? And I can tell you unequivocally, the thing I'm most proud of is I've never put my hands on a woman in anger, ever, my whole life. And I witnessed things in my childhood that made me in the category of 52 times more likely. So I think, and it's no surprise that I became a psychotherapist, but I think the turmoil in my home, including what was going on between my parents, it made me hungry to try to figure out, why do people behave the way they behave? And the beauty of that is it made me want to choose the kind of adult I wanted to be. And I will never forget, man. So my best friend growing up, his name is Kyle. He lived across the street from me and like over. And he lives on a corner. And every day after school, like we played sports together. After he was in a grade younger than me. So after school, I'd go over his house. We'd play video games. Like I'm talking every day. And one day, this is like probably one of the biggest turning points of my life. One day I walked into Kyle's house and we were so close. You don't even knock at that point. You just walk in. And I would walk into his house and his mom would always be the first person I'd see. She'd either be in the kitchen or in the living room. And she'd say, oh, Kyle's upstairs. And I'd, give her a hug and, run upstairs. This particular day, she's in the living room crying. So I walk in and I see her in tears. And I said, are you okay? And she said, yeah, Kyle's upstairs. So I go upstairs and I'm shaken by what I just seen. Mm-hmm. And Kyle is not one bit. I said, Kyle, man, your mom's downstairs crying. He said, yeah, my mom and dad had a fight this morning. And I was like, man, because those words mean something to me. And it was the first time in my life I realized those words didn't mean the same thing to him. So he tells me, my mom and dad had an argument this morning. And my mom's, she's just struggling. She's had a rough day. So what video game you want to play? And I was like, video game? Like, bro, this is... Because in my house, when that happens, everybody's night is ruined. Like, right. It's just not a good night. And my brain is warped by this experience, like Kyle saying this. So all right, man, let's play Tecmo Bowl or whatever. And we start playing video games, and then his dad comes home, and my anxiety goes through the roof because there is nothing worse than when my dad came home in a bad mood. Like, absolutely nothing worse. Dad comes home, and, I hear some murmuring. I can't really understand what the parents are talking about, downstairs and whatever it was, but they were obviously talking, and we start playing, and eventually they called us, and they said, you guys want something to eat? And I go downstairs, and they were sitting on the couch. His mother and father were sitting on the couch in each other's arms. And I remember thinking, like, I don't think I've ever seen my parents make up after a fight. And that was where I realized, like, oh, so you can disagree and reconnect. What happened in my house often is there was arguing, screaming, breaking things, pieces of furniture. Like, it would get violent, bad. And then the next day, it would just, like, go on as normal. I never really saw, like...
a resolution.
Yeah, I never saw it. So when I saw it, it made me say, like, I want to be like that. And to this day, I could get them up. Kyle's parents, I mean, they're special to me because they were part of what modeled to me, oh, I can choose the kind of adult I'm going to be. I don't just have to follow the patterns given to me. Because they let me observe their lives in the way that they did, I saw what love looked like in a much more healthy way than what I was seeing in my home. And love, sometimes you do disagree. You know, sometimes you don't always see things eye to eye. But I saw them reconnect whenever that were to happen, which wasn't frequent. But I never forgot that first time. I never forgot that time I saw that. It blew me away.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. A shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. No, you need to hear it, my brother.